Hi there. I'm, of course, theBRUCE.
I'm Courtney.
And we are collectively known as
Brothers.
the Brothers of Deconstruction.
Yeah.
I guess I'm like the Undertaker, since I'm taller and older. And this is my little brother Kane.
I am wearing red and white, so that would make sense.
It's been a while since we've shared a video together. In my Yawn of Justice review, I explained why we wouldn't be sharing a video together like this in quite some time.
Did you just say Yawn of Justice?
Yes, Yawn of Justice.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Well, yeah, we're across the country now.
Yeah, I mean,
2 different spots, so that's why we don't have as many videos up together, at least. But we still put.
Well, he's kind of taking control over the channel because I'm still trying to get some shit. Well, that's all personal stuff. We are here for one reason and one reason only. This weekend we are at Powermorphicon.
Number 5.
5. For us, number 3. For the channel, number 2.
There's too many numbers.
Yeah, it's so. We are going to personally rank every Power Ranger team up.
We're going to go over our rankings for all 15 team-ups. There are some that probably can technically be counted as team-ups, but they're not really, it wasn't really a team. It's basically Megaforce, where they were using the keys to morph. And technically on the Rangers Wiki page, those are counted as team-ups, but since it's not 2 teams coming together.
Yes, this is how we count a team-up. A previous Ranger from any team shows up for the current team and in suit as well as out helps progress the story along to a point where all Rangers kind of look better by it, and that's how we're going to rank it. It's 2 teams coming together. It doesn't have to be 2 complete teams like, a couple of series. There's a story that requires more than one team to help. It's a good story. Okay. Basic. 1. Does all parties involved look stronger afterwards? Equal time given to both new and old Rangers. Callbacks to returning Rangers series. Works as both a standalone episode and progresses the story. An actual threat requiring a team up. It doesn't make sense. Right. Because a bunch of the team ups do not make sense.
And I'll give a disclaimer right now. He sent that criteria. That would have been a little bit too much to write notes on, so I was just kind of eyeballing the episode.
I didn't take notes for each series that I watched as well. I just, with that criteria, that's how I judged if it was a great team up.
Yeah. At number 15 for me, which really when I was originally doing the rankings, I said at 50 because that's just how bad I thought it was, is a legendary. The reason why I didn't like this team up at all because of it is partially the hype that went behind it, at PMC 3, I believe, was when they first teased the legendary battle. It was PMC 3, right?
Yes, yes.
PMC 3, they first teased the legendary battle. Now, mind you, I hadn't been watching Megaforce or anything like that. And so when they teased it, I was like, holy shit, they just put a bunch of Rangers on the screen. You know, I just lost everything. So going into that, and then you heard the rumors about, you know, them only inviting certain actors back or rescinding on invites to other actors. That's political stuff that we're not going to get into. But watching it, it was anticlimactic, really, honestly, in my opinion. You know, it was, and I watched the extended version that's on Netflix. I remember watching the original version that came out whenever this aired a couple of years ago, a few years ago. And they did release an extended version, but on Netflix they have the extended version. I can't really tell you what's different, but watching it, it was like, oh, the Rangers, that Megaforce team gets beat, and then they think they defeated the Armada, and the Armada basically just swarms with 2 trillion ships to the Earth. And when they're defeated, they're like, oh wait, random Ranger teams start popping up. The only thing about that is that this didn't happen until the last 10 minutes of the episode. So it's super anticlimactic, and it's like, yo, if you're going to do a mega team up like this, have the first episode be them realizing, or the first, because if this is a 2-part episode, which I think it was when it originally aired. It was one episode, so that makes it even worse. If you're going to have an extended thing like this, first of all, it should have been a 2-part episode anyway, because you should have had the Rangers get defeated and then have the help show up, and then the second part of the episode should have been all of the legendary Rangers helping them fight. It should have literally been, the show was half an hour?
Yeah.
It should have literally been half an hour of just a fight with the legendary Rangers, in my opinion. So that's why I put it at 50, but because to account for like the actual number of team-ups, it's at 15.
Here's my reasoning. It was originally a half hour long. Now, for something like an anniversary team-up, like Once a Ranger did, you need more than 1 episode. But when they brought the Rangers back, they didn't do shit. Like, we go, oh, hey, we're going to show them in civilians just saving people. Okay, but how is that really helping push the story along? This is your last episode, and nothing you're doing is pushing the story along. Like, the Super Mega Force Rangers are living their plot independently of your legendary Rangers until the last, 2-minute fight scene?
Yeah, it's literally
They're literally not. Okay, granted, yeah, they're Power Rangers, they're helping on the ground level, but you should at least make your presence known before. And me being also a Sentai head, I also know that the Legendary War was the beginning of Gokaiger. And it moved on from there. So you're using the beginning of a series as your ending. And fucking Damon didn't say 1 word.
He didn't.
Why was he there? And the fucking, this is the extended cut with Carone, like, I enjoy being a Power Ranger.
I love being a Power Ranger.
She was also an astronomer, kids. What does that have to do with anything?
Yeah. The whole, side note, the whole, like, flashing the Ranger, like, helmets over their faces was pointless to me. Because it's like, if you don't recognize the actors.
Well, see, you gotta think about, for what kids.
Yeah,
That's letting them know that what Ranger they used to be.
But still, the whole point, it was still useless because they took their helmets off later in the episode.
True.
When they were walking up in the final battle. So it was like, oh, those are those people that we saw them focus on earlier in the episode. Like, why do you have them flash and get back to him?
Also, Tommy and TJ are both on this team. And during a fight, you see the red Turbo Ranger. But Green Ranger's nowhere in the legendary fight because his Sentai counterpart was dead. So he wouldn't be in the fight. So I guess it was time. Okay, I just answered. Okay, alright. Number 14 was Once a Ranger.
sky in 5 ways. 5 heroes walking through the sun for 5 days. Dark forces lurking, leaving evil where they roam. 5 rangers looking for the same 5 stones. There's treasure to be found, there's some lives to be saved. A planet to look after, there's a whole lot of space. Good versus evil, we got heroes on the scene. Power Rangers Overdrive is the #1 team. Power Rangers, Operation Overdrive. Power Rangers, Operation Overdrive.
Andor! I have it! The most precious.
And this is why I hated Once a Ranger. First off, your villain is the son of Rita and Zed, who the last time we saw them were fucking human. And that was it's about 13 years ago. Maybe less time than that. And now you have
At the time of the episode,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. And you have this now adult, and he's evil, but his parents were human. And the last time you saw Rita was in Mystic Force, the queen of all good magic. But no, that's not what I find was wrong. Okay, Thrax, I'm not going to talk about the morphing grid because Zordon already explained it's the balance between good and evil. But no, because it's now a physical thing. And Thrax just severed their ties to the morphing grid. What I hate about this episode is once the Rangers, the Operation Overdrive Rangers, find out that they can't morph anymore, they turn into these biggest fucking sad sacks. It's like, I enjoyed being a Ranger, but if I can't help out, I'm just going to go back to doing what?
Spencer said you wanted to see me.
Mr. Hartford, you know how much we've loved being part of Operation Overdrive.
And it's been an incredible experience.
But now that you've got a new team, you just don't need us anymore.
Of course I need you. Our mission isn't over yet.
Our mission was to be Power Rangers. We dropped everything for that.
I see.
It's just that we feel that you have everything handled here. We talked about it. And we'd like to go back to our normal lives.
Mac? You feel this way too?
I'm not going anywhere, Dad, but I don't think there's much I can do to help.
So you're sure this is what you want?
Yes, we are. We've decided to leave Operation Overdrive.
You're a fucking Power Ranger. Granted, the reason you were chosen to be a Power Ranger was super fucking stupid, but it's like, oh, I don't have my power. It's like, oh, so you're just in it for the glory. This
is an okay episode. I just hated it like less than all the other episodes that are underneath it, really. Like I said, it's alright. It doesn't really do, it's kind of weird. It came from what? Operation Overdrive?
yes.
So it's kind of weird that, for whatever reason they had to give up being Rangers, or they were like, their heads weren't in it or something like that. And so they had like these previous veteran Rangers came to help them out. I just thought it was kind of weird.
Samurai forever! Jaden!
Nia!
Mike! Kevin!
Emily!
Go, go, Power Rangers! Go, go, Power Rangers! Rangers together! Samurai forever! Go, go, Power Rangers! Go, go, Power Rangers! Rangers together! Samurai forever!
It's the Samurai / RPM team up. It was kind of stupid, at least to me, as far as like, I get that the villain like basically whatever his attack is, he hits them with like these like bolts or whatever like that to make them super aggressive and make them very they make them more susceptible to fighting each other. So that was like, oh, the RPM Ranger comes back and gets sent to like the current dimension for a samurai, and they're like beefing and everything, and it just seemed really forced to me, at least.
Granted, it's a team up, but he never demorphs.
Yeah, that was kind
And they reference his team by, oh, hey, Scott, we saw your team. They said hi.
Reverse the vortex.
Scott, your team says hi.
And once again, being a Sentai nerd, I know it's also the Shinkanger movie as well as the team up. So the it doesn't, it's not cohesive because it seems like there's more than one thing going on, and you're stealing for too many sources to try to tell your story, but the footage just doesn't add up. It literally takes me out of something. Like when I'm watching, I go, but that doesn't make sense. And there was a lot in this movie episode. I don't know what the fuck you call it, but it seemed rather pointless.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rangers in space.
Controls to outer space now, flying higher than ever before. Rangers.
In space.
Go, Power Rangers, oh, Power Rangers, oh, Power Rangers, oh, go, Power Rangers, oh, Power Rangers, oh, Power Rangers, oh, in space.
I did not like Turbo.
Nobody did.
Didn't like Justin so much.
Nobody
It's
did.
kind of a good send-off to him because it harkens back to Turbo. Like, you know, the plot is we kind of got, okay, the plot is we got to rescue a car. I'm not going to lie, that's the plot.
Yeah, it is.
But they kind of make it interesting. And I actually enjoyed it a little bit more than I originally did when I watched it.
True Blue to the rescue from what was that?
Space.
In space. That should have been lower on this list, and it would have been simply because it's a Justin episode, and fuck him and his bowl cut. So that's a good enough reason for me.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rangers in space.
Controls to outer space now, flying higher than ever before. Rangers. Go, Power Rangers, go, Power Rangers, go, Power Rangers, go, 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 fly, go, Power Rangers, go, Power Rangers, go, Power Rangers,
In space.
go, Power Rangers, go, Power Rangers, go, Power Rangers, in space.
There's always a chance, and that's the in space team up.
It's not a Mighty Morphin, it's an Atom team up.
Yeah, it's an Adam team up. So Adam, the second Black Ranger, pops up in this episode to help out
Let me stop you
Carlos.
right there because I'm noticing that every team up Adam shows up in as the Black Ranger, it's kind of meh.
That's basically my sentiments about this episode, but it's not because of Adam. It's more so because I just thought it was very weak how it was a Carlos like centric episode, but it was like the villain was able, if he grabs like one of the teammates and somebody else attacks, he can switch places with them. And you know, if you're attacking, you accidentally hit the wrong person, and so that was the base for this episode. He attacked Cassie.
Yeah.
And he like was just bummed out the entire episode. He gave up being a ranger, and I was like, the fuck is this bullshit? This is whack, but whatever.
It actually shows a ranger doubting himself, and once again, that's new at the time. And you have a veteran ranger come up, and then he drops this knowledge. He goes, hey, every Ranger has felt the way that you have felt. Like, we've all doubted ourselves. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's cool. They're in, like, they have to say the word every day. Like, not everybody's going to be comfortable with that. And then so they show him getting back to a level where he's rebuilding his confidence, and you're kind of growing with Carlos. It was the Goldar's vice versa for Carlos, where they made Adam a sympathetic character, and you liked him the more you saw him. They made Carlos a sympathetic character with this. And you kind of started to like Carlos a little bit more. Instead of being Adam's replacement, he came into his own. So because of that, they built Carlos up into a character that you could kind of root for.
Disclaimer, it's really only 5 really good team-up episodes to me. So after the top 5, I just started ranking them from the ones that I hated least.
Test you, better make it a Lightspeed rescue. Power Rangers Lightspeed rescue. Power Rangers Lightspeed rescue. Power Rangers Lightspeed rescue. Lightspeed, go! Power's on its way. Rangers save the day. Power Rangers Lightspeed rescue. Power Rangers Lightspeed rescue. Power Rangers Lightspeed rescue. Power Rangers Lightspeed rescue. Lightspeed, go! 1, 2, 3, 4.
Shakina's Revenge. 2-parter. Just took forever to set up. It really wasn't a team up. The story was Carter and some little girl. Like, that was the story. You spent so much time on it, you didn't really have enough time to build toward your Rangers showing up. And one thing that I found weird was they were on Terra Venture. Leo shows up, and Kelsey's like, "Hey, you're Leo, the Red Ranger."
What's going on? Hey, you're Leo. The Red Ranger.
How the fuck do you know that? Then you find out that Danny Slavin and Slavin, however you pronounce it, and Amy Miller, now Amy Roll, like, quit. So the voiceovers for Leo just takes you out of it. It's like, what?
Because there was just so many things wrong with the episode. Like,
It was on the 13th floor. A monster came out and grabbed my mommy.
Now you know, dear, there's no such thing as monsters.
one of the things that I have problems with is the fact that it's not a Shakina-centric episode. Like, the name of the episode, and it's a 2-parter. The name of the episode is Shakina Revenge, and it's like in the beginning of the first part of the episode, she's like hiding in the shadows, and they're trying to like be coy with who she is. We know it's Shakina. The name of the episode is Shakina's Revenge. Why are you doing this? And then when they introduce the Lost Galaxy Rangers, they're like, they just show people grabbing the swords, and it's like, we know those are the Lost Galaxy Rangers. Why do you just show random hands grabbing the swords?
The only one that they could have been indifferent with is Pink.
Yeah, exactly. But I just didn't like the episode, and then they turned Shakina into like a giant, like,
all Sentai footage.
That is a good point that you make. I should have realized that. They basically turned her into the queen from Aliens. That's the flashback that I had.